You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today, show number 475, we're going to teach you how to recover faster from your workouts. So any questions today, I'll be giving a lot of recommendations without a doubt. But remember, as always, all you have to do is go to stephencabral.com/475, whatever the episode number may be. And for back episodes, you can go to stephencabral.com/podcast to be able to get all of the show notes, all of my recommendations, and they're direct link to many other products, many other companies. Whoever I think is doing the best work right now, I link directly to them. So let's get started today. I really want to teach you, I really want to talk about how to recover faster from your workouts. So this isn't just for professional athletes or, really anyone doing competitive sports. This is for your everyday person who's looking to improve their overall exercise and really overall metabolism and immunity in general, because what we're going to be talking about today is really your body's ability to repair itself once there's been some type of breakdown, whether it might be an injury, it might be virus-based, it could be any type of inflammation, okay? So really what we're talking today transcends exercise in general, but really important because when you are working out, we don't always think that this happens, but truly, in order to actually improve your body, to transform your body, you actually do break down muscle tissue. That means that tissue, those proteins have actually been broken down and they need to be rebuilt, right? So the whole goal of rebuilding quickly within the body has to do with this formula of increased muscle protein synthesis versus muscle protein breakdown. So what happens when you work out, there's breakdown, right? The muscle proteins break down. And now we say, okay, well, they need certain nutrients and certain environmental factors in order to break back up, in order to rebuild themselves from that tissue breakdown. And that protein synthesis actually happens. It's kind of, there's a lot of different cofactors, but what we're trying to do is modulate inflammation. So not totally eradicate it, but modulate it. So there's not too much, there's not too little, so we can actually help to repair the muscle tissue, but also give it a lot of the nutrients that your muscles need, and they need very specific things. So your body needs proteins, but really what it needs even more than protein is that it needs amino acids. So essentially there are 11 non-essential amino acids. That means non-essential meaning the body can make them itself. But then there's 9 essential amino acids, and we need to get these really from food. We need to get those from our diet. And the most popular ones, probably the most pronounced that we think about with exercise and with building muscle. But again, it's not just about building big muscles. It's about recovery between exercise. Because keep in mind, the average person takes about 24 to 72 hours to recover between workouts, especially if there's a significant amount of muscle tissue breakdown. So if you're doing a spin class, or you're doing a boot camp, or you're doing some resistance workouts, there's going to be that tissue breakdown. And because of that, we want to make sure that we're smart about it, that we are recovering. So again, getting back to those amino acids. And again, I'm going to talk about what to supplement with and what not to, but a lot of people like to supplement with branch chain amino acids. So that's BCAAs. And with those, you're essentially getting those 3 main essential amino acids being valine, leucine, and isoleucine. So why are these important? Well, about a third of our muscle tissue, a third of your muscle tissue is made up of these branched chain amino acids. So it would make sense that if we're trying to build up our muscle or if we're trying to repair faster, branched amino acids obviously makes sense. However, I'm going to tell you right now that most people don't need to be supplemented with these, and I'll be talking about that why in just a moment. The last part I want to mention is because I get these questions quite a bit, so I kind of want to put them all in today's show. But a lot of people say, well, should we just be supplementing with one amino acid, and that's leucine? And that's because leucine right now, and there's been multiple studies that have shown that it increases this signal called mTOR, and mTOR actually increases muscle protein synthesis and muscle repair repair. So we might look, well, that's the most important one to look at. But remember, a lot of times when you go this micro and you really try to pinpoint exactly what amino acid it is, like alanine and all these other ones, it's not always as important as you would think, because nothing works in isolation. Which means what they're now finding is that, yes, leucine and isoleucine and valine all really do matter, but really less so when you're getting all of the essential amino acids and all the non-essential amino acids, because your body needs all of them. It needs the full synergy to repair. I liken it to this, like B12 is a great product for energy, but honestly, it works much better inside of a B complex. It works a lot better when you're getting a natural base folate, and it works better when you're getting B6 and B2 and B1. So it works better when you have all of the other B vitamins with it. So could you take a little extra B12 in addition to your active B complex? Certainly if you'd like to, but honestly, most of the time you don't need it. So that brings me back to just one other point. I'm going to talk a little bit more about, why some people don't recover as quickly between workouts. But for most people, to be honest, if you're using a good protein powder, whether it's vegan-based or whey-based, you're going to be getting all of your amino acids. That includes non-essential and essential amino acids. So if you have a nice pea and rice-based vegan protein, you're going to get those. If you get your hemp protein, you're going to get all of your amino acids. And of course, you can use a whey protein. What I always recommend and what I always push is a grass-fed whey if you're going to go that route. And the reason is I just want to make sure you're not getting milk. So the whey is about 20% of the protein from milk, that you're not getting that from cows that have been fed corn and soy and antibiotics and all these other disease-creating carcinogens that we certainly don't want in our body, especially when they're coming from GMO-based foods. And the majority of milk out there and the majority of whey protein, especially casein protein out there, promotes these things, and that's certainly you don't want in your body. So I do have to say, because I'm always trying to stay as fair and balanced as possible, there are actually a lot of good studies showing that whey protein will help build muscle. One of those reasons is because of the greater amount of the branched chain amino acids and essential amino acids in general. But at the same rate, the majority of what we use in our practice is vegan-based. We're using a daily nutritional support powder, but we also recommend all sorts of powders. We recommend pea and rice-based ones. We recommend hemp protein. So we just simply like to help people get the best results possible. And we do so much lab testing for food sensitivity that we can't always recommend whey protein anymore. Because again, if you do a food sensitivity test, which I highly recommend you do, literally all you do is poke your finger and set it into the lab. It's so simple. We'll link that up in the show notes, the lab that we use. You also get a 30-minute coaching call with one of my health coaches when you complete that. And you get all sorts of great stuff that goes along with it. But what I have to tell you is this. If your body is sensitive to dairy or sensitive to whey protein, which again, this test will show from an IgG perspective, and you're eating those foods, then it's causing more inflammation. That's obviously not going to help you with any of your body transformation results. And it can also cause a little bit more softness because of that water retention from the inflammation. So now let's talk about a few other things. Okay. So just to wrap that up, one of the reasons why, like I said before, I don't always recommend, and very rarely actually do I recommend a branched chain amino acid, except for a serious bodybuilder or powerlifter, is because you're getting all of those branched chain amino acids in your protein powder, and of course, from all the good protein that you eat during the day. Now, can you take it? Yes. But the other thing is this, that there are so many great supplements to choose from, as you'll hear in just a few moments, that you might you have to kind of allocate where you're going to spend all of those funds, and it might just not be on a single branched chain amino acid. All right. So the other thing that occurs from working out, again, that we talked about is this muscle damage. But this muscle damage can lead to increased levels of inflammation, especially those with MTHFR issues in their genetics. And there also can be just a lot of oxidative stress. So you get these things called ROSs, reactive oxygen species. And what happens is when the body actually becomes too inflamed, it becomes too depleted, it becomes too catabolic, the inflammation levels can run wild. And that's why when I work with a lot of people with thyroid-based issues, adrenal-based issues, lupus, autoimmune, fibromyalgia, we're not working out every day. We're working out every other day. And we're also maybe just doing 1 or 2 sets in the beginning. And the reason is that we can't create more inflammation. The body is having a hard enough time right now keeping up with normal daily life inflammation. So if you work out and you compound inflammation on top of inflammation, what happens is massive brain fog, massive fatigue. And believe me, I know what that's like, and that's not a happy circumstance. So what we do is we simply start with walking first, then we start with some light biking or upright bike, and then we're doing some body weight exercises. And all we're doing is walking people up the ladder, and you should do the same with you. And that way, your body actually begins to learn how to modulate inflammation naturally. Now, can you help that along? Absolutely. So there's some great products. Coenzyme Q10, besides being a nice little mitochondrial booster, and especially cardiovascularly as well, can help with the overall modulation of electrons, energy inside the body as well in the cells. So also omega-3 supplements. So is an omega-3 supplement right for everybody? Not necessarily, but a lot of people it does. It actually gives them a lot of benefit, especially in the beginning. And again, there's a great test called the omega-3 test, and it will tell you exactly what your levels of omega-3 are. That is literally one of my favorite tests. So underutilized. Just incredible for finding out what your cardiovascular based issues and risks are, but as well as just finding out what your levels of inflammation are. I'll link that up in the show notes as well today. So I typically recommend an EPA and DHA-based omega-3. You can get a vegan-based one that has those as well. But I like the ones that are higher in EPA. And the reason is that EPA, because again, I do hundreds of omega-3 lab tests every single year. And EPA is always the one that people are coming low in. And not DHA, but EPA. And one of the reasons is that DHA will flow to EPA. But I haven't really seen from the research EPA flow upstream or upstream back to DHA. It doesn't happen. Usually it's just a flow downhill, just like DHEA doesn't flow back to pregnenolone, which kind of going on that hormone cascade. I may have just lost some people there, so let me get back on track. So other things that are very beneficial besides your coenzyme Q10, your omega-3 are tart cherries. And they actually make this as a nutritional supplement. I spoke about it on my natural painkiller show. Look back on the podcast page for that as well. But also MSM and curcuminoids. And most of you know curcuminoids as turmeric. And turmeric has been shown to help, and those products as well, MSM, which is a sulfur-based compound, has been shown to reduce muscle soreness as well as joint-based inflammation. So usually I say that those will work for you, especially turmeric, if Advil seems to work for you. So from a lot of people take Advil, I say not great for the gut, not great for the kidneys, not great for your stomach. So if you can use natural products to get some of those same results, why not do that? So those are big proponent of all of those things. So let's talk about right now, what are some of the top nutritional supplements that you can use to help aid in your recovery? And then we'll talk about just a couple other natural ways as well. Okay, so some of those products, which I've spoken about before, one is called Wobenzyme. And Wobenzyme is a German-based product. I've been using it for quite a long time in my practice. Really helps to cut down on inflammation. Again, there are multiple professional athletes that I've worked with, one of them on the New England Patriots, who used this for quite a bit in his career to cut down on that joint inflammation, joint pain, as well as muscle soreness. Okay, digestive enzymes. Not a lot of people think about this, but using a digestive enzyme with your protein-based meals will actually help you to better break down all of the protein and better utilize those amino acids. So that just makes sense. If you get to use your food better, you can recover faster between workouts. Okay, another product that works great is the product called creatine. And again, a lot of people have heard of creatine before. Creatine actually does help with not only ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, which is kind of recovering between sets, but it actually does help with tissue repair as well. Okay, glutamine. So this is kind of my trifecta. I love these for so many different things, not just workout. It's kind of like my go-to. It's glutamine, which is the most abundant amino acid used in your body, and then it's zinc, and then it's vitamin C. Why do I love those three so much? Here's why. Every time your body gets stressed, every time your body gets worn down, every time your body gets depleted, it just runs through glutamine, zinc, and vitamin C. So it only makes sense that if our body's getting worn down and it's going through, we know, 3 specific products, glutamine, zinc, vitamin C, that why don't we supplement with those? You know, during our times of greatest stress, greatest training, greatest breakdown, let's just give the body what it needs. L-glutamine, zinc, and I've spoken about zinc many different times before, but there's so many great forms of zinc, and vitamin C, okay? All those 3 products are going to help rebuild your body. And then I just spoke about the curcumin, the omega-3, and the MSM. Those are all great products. They all do different things, and you can use them as you see fit. The curcumin, omega-3, MSM, Wobenzyme, those would all be used really to decrease joint pain and muscle pain and inflammation. And then the digestive enzymes, the protein powder, the branched chain amino acids, those would be more to rebuild muscle tissue. The zinc, the glutamine, the vitamin C, those would be for tissue repair as well and stress in the body. And then creatine is kind of an adjunct, an added one in there, which will help as a cell volumeizer, which will help make your muscles actually swell. But it will also increase strength and increase recovery between sets. Okay, so what else can you do besides that? Because there is a little bit more. So one thing that works well too is sauna. That will absolutely help with bringing blood flow through the muscles. Cold baths, that helps. Or hot, cold showers. I've spoken about that before in the podcast. Self-massage or massage in general to help with tissue recovery and speed up recovery. That helps amazingly as well. And just more sleep. I can't give credit enough to sleep, and here's why. If you aren't getting enough sleep, you aren't eating your best, you're not taking nutritional supplements, how does your body have time and when does it recover? The more you stress your body, and exercise is a form of stress, the more rest and sleep you need. That's just the way it is. Like, we don't make the rules, our body does. And so the more sleep we can give it, 7 to 8 hours a night minimum, the faster you will recover. Now, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not doing massage, you're not doing foam rolling, you're not doing stretching, you're not doing any sauna, you're not doing any of these things, that's when nutritional supplements are even more important. Or if your diet isn't that solid, that's even when you need these nutritional supplements. So kind of look at the total picture. If you're good on your diet, you're good in your sleep, you do foam rolling or massage, you do sauna, you do cold baths, things like that. All of these different things to help repair your body. Then nutritional supplements for you aren't as important, okay? So you just have to it's these checks and balances and also how hard you're training, because the harder you train, the more support you need to give your body. On the Cabral concept, what we talk about is balance. That's what we stress. We stress balance. And it's all about, if you train hard, well, then you need to recover hard. If you just train moderately, well, then there's not as much need to recover, right? Because there's not as much to recover from. So you have to think of it, from your perspective, where you're at right now in your life and how hard you do want to train and really how much inflammation you get from your workout. That's a really good indicator of what you need to do in terms of recovery. Do you need more recovery, less recovery? And then gauge also how many days between workouts may be best for you. Some people are great at going Monday, Tuesday on, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday on, and then maybe the weekend off. Or some people are good at Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then like a fun day on the weekends. So there's all different types of strategies based on your training regimen, but I'll leave you with this. Really what you want to do, and what this show is all about, was trying to figure out how you can increase muscle protein synthesis, decrease muscle protein breakdown when you are looking at recovering. So again, we gave you all the different ways to help rebuild the muscles, and at the same time, your exercise is always going to provide the breakdown that you need to actually regroup, rebuild, and become stronger with each and every workout. Thank you everyone for tuning into another Cabral Concept. I appreciate each and every one of your listens, and I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow on our Friday review, where I've got so many great products to bring you. Can't wait for that show. Take care, everyone. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.